So good to see everyone here, right here in Theater 6 and online. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Garry. I'm one of the pastors here, and really glad that you've decided to spend some of your time with us today. If this was a normal year, today would be Kickoff Sunday, because this would be the Sunday that we would kick off into fall. You know, we start up all the programs like Kids Place and our connection groups, the various courses that we would run on a Sunday morning like Money Matters, Emotional Healthy Spirituality and Relationships. This isn't a normal year. This hasn't been a normal 2 years. It's been like 19 months since things have been normal. Get this. Today is the 6th Sunday. I wasn't good at math. 6th Sunday that we have been together in the last 80. Isn't that unbelievable? 6 out of 80. And it's been fantastic. In fact, I remember doing our first live stream from here on March 15th, 2020. And we thought, it'd be a couple of weeks, you know, help flatten the curve. We'll all be back to normal. No. The next week, or that week, Tuesday, I think it was, we get a call from the theater. We're shuttering all our locations across Canada. So you can't live stream from here anymore. And we're like, so we scrambled. We grabbed some volunteers, some of the staff and I, and we came here and it's like, okay, what do we need to pull off a live stream? And we just grabbed everything we could think of, you know, lights and computers and music equipment and sound equipment, and just started loading up trucks, and we took it over to our off-site ministry center, which is called the Underground, affectionately named the Underground because it's located underground in the basement of a commercial building. And as grateful as we are for that space, and still are, that's where the youth meet every week, it also brought a lot of challenges to running a live stream, mainly around lighting and sound. Again, because it was underground, there's no windows and zero natural light. So all the light that we tried to shine on people was manufactured, and we were trying to make people look like they weren't the dark side of the moon, and, you know, work with the shadows and everything. And so we worked diligently to do that. And then once we got that done, you know, so it looked pleasing to the eye for all of those of you who were watching online, then we had to worry about the sound. Because we weren't mixing sound for a large room like this, we were now mixing it on small devices like phones and tablets and computers and TVs. And I gotta say, it absolutely blew me away how much effort our teams put in to make the live stream happen, to make the online experiences as enjoyable as possible. Because I know as well as you do, if the video's lousy and the sound's lousy, well, I got something better to do. I don't need to put up with that. So each and every week, they would come and they would say, well, that didn't work well last week. Let's try this. And they would tweak and adjust things, trying to get it as good as possible. And each and every week, even though we had all these issues we were trying to work through, they showed up excited and jacked up that they got to be a part of making Sunday morning happen, knowing that they were bringing a little bit of light and a little bit of joy and a little bit of hope into all your homes. You may remember back when this whole pandemic started, when, you know, we had that shelter-in-place order and everyone was kind of hunkered down in their homes. There was no school and work was shut down. And, you know, at first we were thinking, hey, man, this is like an extended spring break. This is kind of cool. But do you remember what happened? At 7 o'clock every night, people would emerge from their homes and their apartments and their condos, and they'd start to bang pots and pans. They'd honk their horns. And they did it to honor and say thank you to all the frontline workers, the nurses, the doctors, the support staff, the paramedics, all those who were putting their lives on the line to help those who had come down and contracted this unknown virus. One word describes these people: heroes. Because that's what they were and that's what they are. They're heroes. Well, I got to say, we have our own heroes right here, and I'm going to have them come down. This is not something we do a lot around here, but we thought this morning we would have them come down here and line up across the back of the stage. The staff and I thought it would be good for all of us to recognize and say thanks to all the people, all the volunteers who served diligently and tirelessly week in and week out to bring you guys the live stream. And so give a big hand to our heroes. Yeah, this is awesome. You guys truly are heroes. It is amazing. Look how many people it takes to do a live stream. And this isn't even all of them. Yeah, so thank you. You guys are heroes, man. Sweet. I know it doesn't seem like much, but you know, I can't say thank you enough to how much you guys matter and made a difference. So thank you. Thank you. And I know you're going to love me to say this next. You can all go sit down now. So go sit down. Thanks again. Awesome. On Sunday, August 8th, this past August, we gathered back here for the first time in over 18 months. And I was excited, the staff was excited, the leadership team was excited. But here's the thing, and I'm just going to be completely honest with you. There was a part of me that wasn't all that excited. It sounds weird, I know, but here's why. There was a part of me that kind of feared that we would just go back to business as usual. That we would be just itching to kind of hop back into what we were doing before and risk kind of falling into the proverbial rut. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we were in a rut before the pandemic kind of changed everything. Trust me, I live for Sunday mornings. It's a highlight of my week. I love it. I love being here with all of you. I love what we get to do here on a Sunday morning. And in fact, I'm going to take a couple of seconds and I'm going to brag. Because I think there are a lot of things that we do really well. Not perfectly, because that's not the point. But we do them really well. For instance, the music. I mean, it is absolutely incredible what this music team does week in and week out. I'll call Russ or Peter up, whoever's doing music, on a Tuesday and say, hey, I'm just kind of putting the bones to the message together here, and I think this song would work really well. Do you think you could pull it off? And they would go, yeah, I think we could do that. Like this morning when they did Heroes by David Bowie. Like, that's how good these guys are. And I'm biased, okay? I say that with no shame at all. And I think that often, most times, they do a better job than the original of those covers, okay? I really do. Another thing I think we do well is we do our best to deliver messages each and every week that are relevant, practical, and helpful for people that don't even think God exists, to those that have been following Him for most of their life. I think we do well at doing everything we can to create a safe place where you know it's safe to invite your unchurched friend, that they can come here and hear about this God that created them for a reason, for a purpose, loves them beyond anything they could even begin to imagine, and not be weirded out by it. That is one of the core foundational pieces that the meeting place was built on. Why it came into existence in the first place. Back when the meeting place was still just a dream, before we ever had our first gathering, it all started with a small handful of people who had found some freedom through the grace and love of God. And that little group of people began to hang out in their backyards, in their living rooms, in their kitchens, and they would talk, and slowly their numbers began to grow as people from different backgrounds, some who, had had bad church experiences or weren't too into church anymore. They heard about this crazy idea of a church that was going to be for people who weren't into church. And so they would talk about that, and they would begin to wonder and ask the question, like, what if church could be different? What if it could be different? What if there could be a church without a power hierarchy in it? A church where guilt and fear and shame weren't used to coerce and manipulate people. A church where everyone would feel welcome and accepted, no matter where they had been, what they had done, or what they had not done, or what had been done to them. A church where you could belong before you believe. Get this, a church where your doubts and differences of perspectives and worldviews could be shared without fear of judgment. What if there could be a church like that? They didn't know if it was possible. In fact, there was people much smarter than them that said, it'll never work. It'll never work. But they said, you know what? We're going to try it anyway. And they stepped out and they gave it a shot. They pulled out all the stops to create a church for the over-church, the anti-church, the de-churched, the skeptic, and the curious. You know what those people were and are? Heroes. They were the original heroes of this church. Why? Because they did what heroes do. They went above and beyond, put their own needs aside, and did whatever it took to make this place a reality. They really sensed that God had placed this dream on their hearts, and they were like, we can't let this fail. Let's go do this thing. And so they created a church for those that were burnt out on religion, disillusioned with the church, doubtful that God even existed, people who were lost and broken and hurting, looking for hope. And so 22 years ago, in 1999, this tiny group of wide-eyed, hopeful, excited, energetic people seized the opportunity that was in front of them, and they launched the Meeting Place Church. And I know there's some of you here today that were in that original group of people. And so I want to say thank you, because you are a hero to me. Thank you for pulling out all the stops and making this place a reality, because countless people, myself included, have benefited from this church being in existence. Some came and found a place to belong. Some came and found a place to heal. Some came and they found hope. Others found God and experienced His grace and His love and His mercy and His forgiveness for the very first time, while others reconnected with that. And so thank you. You truly are heroes. You know, as I mentioned earlier, back in June, when we first heard that all the public health orders were changing around church and we were allowed to meet with no restrictions, we sat down as a staff to plan, like, what's this first service going to look like? And while we were doing that, I shared with them how I was feeling. How although I was excited that we were able to gather together again, there was a part of me that wasn't excited. And I shared how I couldn't help but feel that God had given us an opportunity to just not go back to the way things were. And as I was sharing it with them, it suddenly just dawned on me. It was like I couldn't help but sense this was an opportunity not to kick off like we've done for so many years, but to relaunch the meeting place. To relaunch. This was an opportunity for us to not just get together again and just kind of like, I just want it to be the way it was before, but to reconnect with the original why behind why this place exists. And do that with the hopes that we would be re-energized, we would be reinvigorated, remotivated to break out of normal and break out of the ordinary and instead do whatever it takes to unleash God's extravagant, over-the-top, mind-blowing, ridiculous love in this city. That is what excites me. That's what fires me up. That's what puts the fizz back in my pop. I mean, simply showing up here just to go through the motions, oh, this is what we've always done, this is church, it doesn't really sound all that compelling or exciting, does it? And personally, I've got a golf score I'd like to kind of work on. Needs a lot of work, actually. And again, I'm not saying that we were just going through the motions before, but there's just this part of me that I just don't want us to slip into that. We're all wanting things to go back to the way they were, but they're not gonna. Not completely anyway. And so why not take this opportunity to reconnect with that original dream, that original energy that they had? You know, like you, I want my life and my effort and my time to matter, to make a difference. We all want that. I want to be part of whatever God is doing in our city, on our island, in our country. You know, last week, if you weren't here, you got to catch up on this series, man. Russ absolutely knocked it out of the park last week, I thought anyway, when he wrapped up a series called In the Light. And in that message, he described a time in his life when things were very dark. And he was searching for God's light. And as he shared that story, I was sitting right over here, and I was reminded of my own story. A time when my life, I was going through a pretty dark time. And interestingly, it was when I ended up here, in this place. You see, like some of the people in that original group that started this church, I had a bad church experience. And it left me feeling confused, disillusioned, discouraged. I was done with church. If I'd never darkened the door of a church again, I would have been okay with that. Now, I'm not passing blame. I had my part in everything that happened, and I don't want to get into details, but that didn't ease the pain and the hurt I was feeling at the time. And so, to me, it was just like, I don't care if I ever go to church again. Thankfully, at the insistence and urging of my wife, which is a polite way of saying, get your butt in the car, we're going to church, we wandered in here. And the reason we came here is because although I knew about the meeting place, I didn't know the pastors or anything. And so I knew a lot of the other pastors, and I'm thinking, man, if I show up at their church, they're going to look at me and go, what are you doing here? And it's like, I don't want to talk about it, so just leave me alone. So I thought, hey, the meeting place, sure. I don't know anyone there. God's got a sense of humor. I remember the first day that we arrived here, like it happened yesterday. I remember getting out of the car. We drove here, and we got out of the car, and we're walking across the parking lot to the entrance of the theater. And the whole time I'm thinking, please don't let anyone be here. Please don't let anyone be here that I know. Well, wouldn't you know it? Right at the front door. I hadn't met anybody, and this is the first people I run into at the meeting place, and it's two people I know. And they know I'm a pastor. It was Ray and Jane Quist. Maybe you know them. And I'm thinking, God, this is not cool. Like in any way, shape, or form, I am not, I know you have a sense of humor, but I don't really appreciate being the butt of your joke. And so it's just like, oh man, I can't believe this is happening. We walked up, Ray sticks out his hand. I return the favor, and as he grabs my hand in his, I'm bracing for it. I'm bracing for the question, because I know it's coming. He knows who I am and what I do, and I was waiting for him to go, shouldn't you be at your own church? He's just waiting for it. I knew it was going to happen. Never came. He never asked the question. Him and his wife, Jane, they just smiled with these big, warm smiles, said, welcome to the meeting place. Glad you're here. Head down the hall to Theater 8. That's where we were meeting back then. And so we did. And I sat down in a chair just like over in this section here. And I sat down and listened as the band busted into a tune that I thought, I can picture hearing this on Rock 101, but not in church. And I remember the song. It was Desire by U2. They just killed it. I was like, wow, and it fit the message. And I'm like, this is really cool. And then, after that, I heard this message that I swear was written just for me. Ever experienced that? It's like the pastor was in my head this week. He was following me around. Something was going on. And for the next few months, that was my experience. My wife and I would come here last minute, just in time to catch the band, because I didn't want to talk to anybody. We'd sit down, listen to the band play a couple of songs, watch a video clip, listen to an awesome message, sing some songs at the end, and as the last note was kind of ringing out, it was like, okay, time to go, so I could get out before I had to talk to anyone. We did that for week after week after week. But you know what? Over time, things became brighter. I sensed and experienced God's grace in a way I'd never experienced before. And I found myself in a far better place, both mentally and spiritually. And I came to the place where I was sitting there listening to the music and the message and thinking, man, this is so good, but it's not enough. It's not enough anymore. I want to start giving back to this place that has done so much for me. I want to be able to help create a space where someone with maybe my story can experience the same thing I did and feel accepted. A place where I belonged, where despite what I had done or not done, God still loved me. In my stories, it's unique, but it's not unique. And here's what I mean by that. There's so many stories found throughout the Bible and countless stories, of people throughout history that go through this, this disillusionment. I'm not sure about God. And then they come to a place where they experience Him in a new way, and it just propels them and compels them to want to share that with other people. It's a process in the journey with Jesus. It's all about you and me responding to His love, getting to the place where we begin to trust Him a little bit more than we did before, a little bit more, and allow Him to love us. And get to the place where we begin to love Him back. And then share that love and demonstrate that love by serving others. That's the great commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. The Apostle Paul, a guy we talk about a lot around here, had his disillusionment with church and everything else, and had an experience with Jesus on his journey. And here's how he summed it up. Listen to this. Those of us who are strong and able in the faith need to step in and lend a hand to those who falter, and not just do what is most convenient for us. Strength is for service, not status. Each one of us needs to look after the good of the people around us, asking ourselves, how can I help? That's exactly what Jesus did. He didn't make it easy for Himself by avoiding people's troubles, but He waded right in and helped out. The meeting place has been and continues to be a safe place where people can come and hear about the God who created them, directed them up, brought them into existence, and loves them just as they are, but doesn't want to leave them that way. And it doesn't matter how they ended up here. The fact is, they're here. And all of that is possible because of heroes like you. Heroes who give of their time and their talents and their financial resources to help lend a hand to those who are faltering, who ask, how can I help? What can I do in order to make this place a reality? I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but when the meeting place is like clicking along, running on all 8 cylinders, I'm not sure what we're going to use for an example when we're all electric, but anyway, I'm going to go with the 8 cylinders. When we're humming along, do you know that it takes more than 40 people serving on different teams, various teams, to make this place happen on a Sunday? 40 people, 40 plus people We got kids plays team, prayer team, online host team, decorations team, setup team, media team, lighting team, sound team, music team, camera team, guest services team, info table team, finance team. I'd be remiss not to mention the volunteers who serve the youth on Friday nights at the City Youth, or the volunteers who host connection groups in their homes during the week so people can continue to connect and grow in their relationships with God and with others. The volunteers who bake and deliver meals to those who can't for whatever reason. I mean, every week, and you can do this today, walk around, just observe what happens. And you will see people serving all over the place. As you walk up and down the halls and out into the lobby, you'll see them as they care for children, as they clean a floor, hold open a door, play music, set up a table, take down a table. You'll see people talking with youth and seniors and newcomers. You'll see them packing up equipment and rolling carts down the hallway to the storage room at the end of the hall. And you know what? When I see those people doing that, you know what I want to do? I want to walk up to each one of you and say, do you know what you're doing? And not like that, you know, like, do you need help because you look lost? It's not that kind of, do you know what you're doing? It's this. It's, do you have any idea how much you're doing matters? That what you're doing matters. Do you have any idea how you will feel when one day you turn around and you look back at all these things and see how God was working through you to touch others? Do you have any idea of the eternal impact you are having on someone else? Now, serving others can be hard. I get it. It's inconvenient. It's time-consuming, and let's face it, our time is at a premium. There are lots of things vying for our time. And here's the thing, they're good things. Family, friends, all that type of stuff. Serving can be scary because we don't feel qualified to serve, or we think whatever we have to offer just isn't going to make any difference, so why even bother? Here's the thing. If we step back and kind of just excuse ourselves out of it, we risk missing out. And so don't hold back. Throw yourselves into the work of the Master, confident that nothing you do for him is a waste of time or effort. And you know the really cool thing about this, serving and loving others? It's a win-win. You cannot lose. Yeah, you might lose some time or some convenience or whatever, but in the end, you win. It's a win-win. Listen to these words from the Bible, in the Old Testament, a book called Proverbs, full of all these pithy wisdom statements. Listen to this. It says, those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. I mean, how awesome is that? The people you serve win because you're giving them exactly what they need at the exact time they need it, whether they know they need it or not. And when you serve someone else, help someone else, if you've ever done that, and I'm sure you have, you know how it makes you feel. It's like, yeah, I did something today. Like, whoa. Needless to say, there are all kinds of ways you can get connected here and involved here at the meeting place. And so I want to throw out a challenge to you. If you've been coming here for a while and you're not on a team, to get on a team. Not just for the sake of, oh, I guess if something needs to be done, I'll do it. But in light of the mission that we're on. What hangs in the balance? And so as you head out to the lobby, you're going to see tables set up. Maybe you saw them on the way in. And on those tables are sheets of paper with a listing of all the different teams that we have here that you can become a part of. It'll tell you how many times you can serve and what your time commitment is for the days that you do serve. You know the cool part? If you sign up, it's for 90 days. Sign up and take the 90-day challenge. Join a team, and at the end of 90 days, if you're thinking, this team it's not my thing, that's okay. Go find another team. Because you will find a spot that just clicks. But if at the end of the 90 days you're thinking, man, I love this, this is sweet, just let us know. Just say to it, put me on the schedule. And you can even tell us how much you want to serve. We just hope that you're motivated by the bigger picture of what's happening here. But if you're here and you've just wandered in here, you're trying to get your bearings, or you're just new to town and you're not sure if this is the place for you, here's our hope that, one, you're going to leave here encouraged, feeling hopeful, that with all the stuff that's going on in the world, that there is hope, and that it's found in a relationship with Jesus. And we hope you'll come back next week and the week after that and the week after that. And as you do, God's light will begin to shine. And then you'll come to the place where it's like, I want to help out. I want to be a part of this place. This is your opportunity. Your time to be a hero. Be a part of what God is doing through the meeting place. This is your opportunity to step out of the ordinary and step into the extraordinary. And so I would encourage you to stop by the table and just take a look. Pray about it. Talk to myself or Sylvia or Peter or Russ. We're all going to be there. We'll do our best to answer questions. We'll try and pair you with your passion. You know, I don't know about you, but when I feel that rut of routine, like just going back to the way we did things, I find reminding myself of my story and how it fits into the bigger story of what God's doing, I don't know, that fires me up. It compels me. And I hope it does you too. I'm really excited for you and for me and us as a church as together we relaunch, we recapture, we reimagine, we redream, and reconnect with the why behind why this place exists. So we can go out and have a season where we're willing to pull out all the stops, do whatever it takes to get the best news in the world out to a lost and broken, hurting world. That we, together, can go and unleash God's extravagant love on this city. And as we do it, equip others to love God and love others every day, everywhere. Let's pray. God, man, when we think about the mission that you have for us, I think a mission impossible, you know, here's the mission, whether you choose to accept it or not. You just hold it out to us. And when we say yes to that, oh man, you show up in ways that we can't even begin to imagine. We get to see your fingerprints start showing up all over the place. And so I pray for all of us that we would just find our place here where we can just join together, link arms to move this mission forward. Because in the end, it's a win-win. We can't lose on this mission, and that's such a beautiful thing. So I just look forward to what you have for each of us as individuals and as a church as we go out to unleash your love on this city. Thank you that you're including us in this, that the invitation is there for any one of us to say yes. We thank you for all that you do for us, and we pray this in your name. Amen.